blinded by passion, I let someone in. And you kept saying, blinded by passion, I met someone new. And I was like, I was like, no. I wasn't really that nervous. I think Barbara gets more nervous, but then she always does really, really well. I get nervous when we do like TV or radio of people I admire. That's our signature toast. Well, you want to say? You go ahead.
It's because when we won the Pulitzer, it was a total surprise to us. We didn't expect to win at all. And it was at 3 o'clock on a Monday. And so when we found out we won, like everyone was just jumping up and down, crying, screaming, so happy. And then they brought in, there was a little champagne in the
It was like somebody had brought in a tiny bottle that had been around. You know how newsrooms always have like liquor around?
Yeah.
Like our editor, Gar Joseph, has tons of whiskey and sauce, but they're unopened, so I don't know what.
Yeah, so
anyhow,
so
it was an unopened
bottle of champagne. So they popped open the bottle of champagne, and there were no cups. Like, we never have anything in our newsroom, including pens and cups and plates, whatever. So Wendy took off her sneaker that she was wearing that day and poured the champagne into her shoe and guzzled the champagne out of her shoe. And it was on video, like somebody caught it on video.
Yeah, I didn't know it was on video, but like I just was so excited, and I was thinking about how much I used my sneakers in the reporting, because I always wear sneakers to work. I always wear sneakers and jeans. And so I was like, my God, these sneakers were so good to me. Like, I got so many miles out of these sneakers, and I was thinking of shoe leather reporting, and I was just in the moment. So I'm like, I'm drinking out of my shoe. So I took off my sneaker, and it stunk because I've been wearing it for so long. And I poured the champagne in, and I drank out of it, and then I didn't know we were being filmed, but then it kind of became like a thing.
Yeah, it's like our thing, I guess.
It's our shtick. It's a shtick.
Is it the same sneaker every time?
No,
this one was actually my sneaker.
All right.
Yeah, that wasn't very pleasant for me, because when we did it the last time, I drank out of my shoe and you drank out of your shoe, so we had our own smelly shoes to drink out of. And then, I'd rather drink out of my shoe than Barbara's shoe.
Yeah,
no offense.
even though I have such clean feet.
Yeah.
But this year we did it because we had the high heel and the sneaker. So
yeah, and that was a hard part of the speech, because the speech was, we were mostly just winging it, and so we were like, well, if we do the shoot thing, like, how do we tie it in without forcing it, And then we came up, I think this morning, it was either this morning or last night, we were like, well, you could say, we did it this morning in the room.
Yeah, and going from the head, the heart, to the gut, to the shoe, and then sometimes you wear high heels or sneakers. You're chameleon.
Right. Female reporters can like use what they've got in a way that men can't. Like, I sometimes look at the males and I feel sorry for them, because they can't pretty up to, like, sort of, they can't put the war paint on, and that could be bad for women, but it's also really good to be able to change costumes, so to speak, for different confrontational or one-on-one interviews, or an interview where you go out to talk to people in the community. You might wear something different than when you're talking to a high-powered lawyer.
Because people look at you differently, and they judge you. They make a judgment about you based on what you look like and what you're wearing.
Yeah, I really wouldn't want to be a guy. Like, I don't think I'd want to be a dude.
Well, I think it'd be harder.
Because you can only work with what you got. You know what I mean?
All you really can add is a tie and a jacket, or not a tie and not a jacket. Other than that, you can't change your
there's really
your look.
Not much to work with there. Well, I was at the Philadelphia Inquirer, and I was going to get laid off, and this was during the 2007 layoffs, and so they put me at the Daily News to kind of save my job, because they had openings at the papers are owned by the same company, but they had openings at the Daily News. So I parachuted into the Daily News right before the layoffs, and Barbara was my editor. And when I first looked at her, talk about sexist, right? I thought she was like this airhead bimbo, like, just by appearance alone, which is really terrible to say out loud, especially like in a women's empowerment thing. But like, she just was like no editor. I mostly had male editors who were, kind of like, schlumpy, or our female editors who were kind of, like the female editors are like, especially at the especially, it's more stodgy papers, So there's Barbara, and she was like, I don't know, I was like, who is this editor of mine? And then I started writing stories, and she would edit them, and she always made my story better. She always understood, like, we had right away, like, a really great working relationship, and we had a similar writing style, and she would always she'd figure out exactly what I needed to do to make my story even better. And I don't know, we just became really good friends, and then we started working together as
reporters, because I didn't like editing. I wanted to go back to reporting. And so I went back to reporting around the same time that the drug informant came to the paper. And so then when we were working on the story together, like night and day basically, we became really, really close friends. So
yeah, you're my best friend.
Yeah, she's my best friend. So
yeah.
We know, like, it's not like I just know how she is as a reporter. I know how she is, like, I know her whole life story, and she knows my whole life story.
Right.
And so, but in order to work with a reporter that closely, even if you're not close friends, you have to totally trust them, and you have to have the same kind of work ethic, and you have to kind of think alike and know where you're going in the story and what you're willing to do to get the story.
I was at the New York Times for a year, and then my marriage fell apart in a spectacular kind of way, and I really wanted to come back to where my friends and family were, and part of what my reason for coming back is I really needed support and help, and I was really down, and so I went back to the Philadelphia Daily News, and I went back to working with Barbara just like less than a year ago, because I needed her. Like, I needed my friends and family, and it was more important to me than my career at that point. And the Daily News is a very family-oriented place to work. It's very cozy, and so, like, I have had moments at work where I've been crying, but not about work, just about, like, how did I get to this place where I'm divorced, and so Barbara and I will have heart-to-hearts, like, before we start reporting. We're not as fast as we used to be, because I'll be like, well, first I want to tell you, what happened to me the other night, and I got all upset, and then she has to, like, talk me out of the tree, and then we're like, okay, let's write.